Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Stu Bergier of the Glenn Beck radio program.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You get on to me for leaving that out, so
just trying to help.
Let everyone know you can find Stu Bergier on the Glenn Beck radio program. We also have Graham Allen, host of Rant Nation and the Dear America podcast. And you guys have a new podcast out. Mm-hmm. You just released it with Dan Crenshaw.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Majestic Freedom Pirate.
Yes.
We're gonna make it
wow, that's actually really accurate.
I know. Yeah.
So go wherever you get your podcasts. Go wherever you get your podcasts and make sure that you check that out as well. And Jason Buttrell.
Of the Jason Buttrells of No Real Show.
Head researcher of the Glenn Beck program. I am all about the titles here today. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Stu, what's your top story?
Donald Trump has a new accuser, and we're going to look at that whole story, which is very interesting to say the least.
All right, Graham.
We're getting rid of student loan debt.
Yay! Yes. Jason.
Manufactured crisis, nothing to worry about with the border, and especially no terrorists coming across the border until I'm about to show you something ridiculously frightening.
I don't know what you're talking about. It all sounds very racist to me. First, we want to thank our sponsor before we get into the program. American Financing is our sponsor today. So if you are in the market for a refinance, you just need a home loan, whatever the case may be, you got to go to American Financing. They do business the right way. So they are salary-based. They're not commission-based, which means they're not trying to get you the deal that's going to get them a kickback from the institution. They are actually in it to get you the best deal. They want to protect you, want to make sure that you don't do anything crazy, like Stu over here. He wanted to do something crazy, and they were very honest, and they said, "You're crazy."
Yes, they did.
Like verbatim,
I appreciated the
that's
honesty.
what they said.
Pretty much, yes, which was great. Look, I understood what they were saying, and they were right. But that being said, they only do apparently sensible loans. But they were able to walk me through kind of the whole thing and help me, figure it out. And they were great to deal with, top notch for sure.
Yeah. So if you are in the market looking for that, American Financing is going to be your best bet. You can go to AmericanFinancing.net or you can call 800-906-2440. Stu, a new Trump accuser.
That's true. It is number 943,627. And
they've all been very credible.
All of them have been
yes.
credible.
Yes.
This is the real deal, though.
Yeah, this one.
This one by far.
Gonna sink them.
Is really up there.
I mean, this is difficult stuff, right? I mean, obviously, I think we would all agree that if Donald Trump raped this woman, he should be not only not president, but in prison.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That was exactly what we would all want. Yes. However, when someone comes up with a 30-year or 25-year-old allegation, you have to, start with this premise that we kind of had at one point in this country called innocent until proven guilty. I know it's a legal standard, but I think it's actually a cultural one too. When someone is accused of one of the, let's say, 2 worst crimes you can think of, maybe we should kind of look at this and say, take it seriously, right? Of course, if you make an accusation, you get to taken seriously. However, the person's innocence is also protected in this circumstance. So, this accusation comes out. And it's a very strange story. The idea being that this woman runs into Donald Trump at Bergdorf Goodman. Now, Bergdorf Goodman, if you've never heard of this, I've only heard of it because Glenn's told me about it, because his son-in-law used to work at Bergdorf Goodman. But it's like the fanciest store in the universe. Like, it's in the middle of Manhattan, in Midtown Manhattan. It is it's 1,000 levels above like Nordstrom, right? Like this is like the place where people like Donald Trump go to shop.
I tried to buy a T-shirt there because it was from Bergdorf, and then saw the price. Like, come on, it's be $20. It was $500. $500 for a white T-shirt.
Okay. They wouldn't let me in. I was like, no, you have no business coming in here.
So
turn around T-shirt.
Setting the scene here, the idea is that in the middle of this store, Bergdorf Goodman, where it's so expensive when T-shirts are $500, they don't let you just walk around. Like, they're constantly on top of you because anyone who goes in there wants, the most ridiculous service. And also they're afraid that anyone might, I don't think they're going to think Donald Trump was going to steal something, but I mean, who knows? This is before he was president.
They probably had pretty extensive loss prevention.
Yes, exactly. And the customer service is intense.
Because the commission is ridiculous.
Exactly.
That's really, like, they are fighting each other, or like they're fighting each other to chain themselves themselves to the customer's
Yeah.
leg.
Yes. So she says that they're talking. I guess they had met before. They're talking. They're joking. And he decides to have her try on some lingerie and brings her to this dressing room. And in this dressing room, she is assaulted. And he rapes her. Now, she's been very strange, just decided to the way she's described this. Let me give you this. This is from her book. And note the name of the book here. What Do We Need Men For? That is the name of the book. Her confession of this supposed incident, alleged incident, is an excerpt from this book. Listen to this excerpt. She's saying, this is her describing it. I am astonished by what I'm about to write. I keep laughing. What? First of all, you're describing your own rape. It's a very strange time to laugh, but okay. She says, the next moments I'm still wearing correct business attire, shirt, tie, suit jacket, overcoat. He opens the overcoat, unzips his pants, thrusts his manhood halfway or completely, I'm not certain, inside me. The reason why I highlight this is because she's basically making a joke about his manhood, right? Like, I couldn't tell if it was halfway or all the way.
Yes.
You're confessing a rape. You're talking about you were sexually assaulted and raped. The last thing you're doing is making a joke about his wee-wee, right? Like, that's not what you do in that circumstance. And the more bizarre actions that have continued since then, here's an interview, I think this is the one with Anderson Cooper, where she's trying to make the argument of why she thinks it wasn't rape when, again, you heard how she just described the incident. If it happened, it clearly was. Watch.
You don't feel like a victim?
I was not thrown on the ground and ravished, which the word rape carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual. It hurt. It just, you know.
Well, I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
What?
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasy.
We're just going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the other side.
You're fascinating to talk to.
Oh my God.
That is one of the strangest clips in television history.
Creepy.
It is really creepy.
To get Anderson Cooper that flustered, I mean, that is saying something.
Anderson really makes me laugh in that moment for some reason. Let's go
It's
to
almost
break.
like he's like, okay, all right, yeah.
Very strange. And then another thing, again, you have someone who is supposedly the President of the United States, which obviously the fact that you're bringing this up shows, you take it very seriously, obviously, in theory. And you also want Donald Trump to be in trouble for it, right? Like you could tell the story without using his name except you wanted him to have consequences. You want Donald Trump to be hurt by this incident, obviously. So here's her opportunity, her big opportunity, when the mayor of the city this occurred, okay, happens to be running for president against Donald Trump. Like, what an amazing coincidence. This is absolutely a great way to get an investigation started, right? Yeah. All she has to do is say yes, right? Let's watch.
The mayor of New York City, Mayor Bill de Blasio, who of course is running against President Trump, has said that if you were to bring a case forward, he will pursue it. He will have the New York City Police Department pursue it. So do you want to pursue this?
It is the greatest police department in the world. The detectives are great in New York. The thing is, it's past the time. It's experts. I've been talking to experts, and they say that we passed
the statute
legal.
of limitations.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, there was a statute of limitations in place at the time that this happened in late 1995 or 96. That has since changed. And Mayor de Blasio, when he heard your story, said that he would pursue on your behalf an investigation. And so you have the dress that you were wearing. You don't, I'm sure, still have the tights. But would you consider doing that?
I consider it, but the experts are telling me that.
So you've consulted lawyers?
Yeah, well, they've written to me. I've never consulted a lawyer in my life. It's not something I would do. They have, emailed me to tell me that, as you say, the statute of limitations has passed because I don't know the legal. I don't want to say what because I don't know what it is.
I mean, this is a rough one. It definitely. I mean, I don't know if someone slowed that down like they did the Nancy Pelosi video, but I don't think so.
No.
She sounds drunk.
She does sound
Well,
like
under the
she's a little
influence of
tipsy.
something.
Yeah.
And Nancy
if not
Pelosi
alcohol.
sound similar. Maybe they put Pelosi's voice over.
Maybe, I don't know. Look, it's a tough situation, and we weren't there. We don't know what happened. I mean, I think her story is very questionable, to say the very least. But removing it from her accusation and her, it's a big political figure. You have to treat these things with skepticism, and he's innocent until proven guilty. At this point, even the accusation seems completely non-credible to me. But let's go to the media. The media is putting her on every television show. She's coming out and she's saying these things about him over and over and over again. And they don't, there's not even that like, hey, remember the Michael Avenatti thing? Maybe we should hold off on this a little bit. There's not even that moment where they're questioning, where they're thinking, perhaps putting an unproven and highly questionable rape accusation against the President of the United States on the air is maybe the wrong move. You go back to Juanita Broderick, who did actually have her interview aired, although late. And you go back, she has tons of evidence. I mean, she told a lot of people at the time. Those people were interviewed by police at the time. She described the exact thing that was outside the window, which actually was outside the window of his room. She has all sorts of detail that made that story credible, and they pretty much blew it off at the time. Here is a situation where, I mean, she's joking her way through her rape story. It is a bizarre thing, and it shows, once again, the media has learned nothing.
I'm sorry, if that interview would have been with Brian Stelter, he would have been asking her to run for president. Yeah. Similar, just how he did with Avenatti. Because this is hilarious. Like, when will the media actually, like...
You got a shot.
I like you. I like your style. CNN especially, you would think that they'd be learning their lesson. Their ratings, Glenn was just talking about this on the air the other day, that they're down like, 40-something%?
It's been rough, yeah.
Absolutely
so they're
insane.
doubling down.
Right.
Is their answer to that.
The things that this is the reason why no one watches you anymore, because of this junk, because of a lack of any kind of journalistic integrity or anything. And you still will not change.
I think that it shows that this whole, believe women thing and stuff like that, the media doesn't believe that. The media doesn't care if she was really raped or not. Not really. That's why they're throwing, Blasey Ford and all these people. That's why they're just going all in on literally anyone can say, oh, I was raped by so-and-so or whoever it was. And they push it because best case scenario, they were raped, they get Donald Trump right where they want him. Yeah. Worst case scenario, they're making it up or they're intoxicated or and then they'll throw them, underneath the bus and we'll try again next week.
Exactly.
Where did Christine Blasey Ford go? Where is she? Right? They used her for what they wanted to use her for, and then discarded her, and never to be heard from again.
Everyone knew at the time, right? I mean, they acted as if they cared so much. They don't care at all. They don't care about this at all. They just are there to take out their political opponents, and it shows every time there's a Democrat who gets accused of these things. They never believe the women. They never do. Right. I mean, look, this happened with Keith Ellison, right? Yes. I mean, very recently, where they just completely blew this off, and they had way more evidence in that case than this one. It was recent. They had actual people, witnesses who were telling their stories. There was posts about it at the time that it went on and blah, blah, blah. They claimed they had, texts and all sorts of things. This is just like, I don't know what you're supposed to do as a person. And I'm this person. I don't want to blow off every single media source. I don't want to sit here and just say, oh, they're just against me and I'm never going to listen to another word they say. Sometimes there's really good reporting in some of these places. And some of these people, some of the people on the network, some of the people at these papers are good and they do good work. But it's hard to defend when you're just, when this is the standard. A person makes an accusation with a million problems in it immediately and she gets primetime television all over the place with barely any questioning whatsoever.
With just a story.
Yeah, with just
nothing to back that up.
Story.
Just a story.
And I mean, you can question that first, right? That, okay, we probably shouldn't parade this woman on television with just a story and nothing to back it up. But then, after that Anderson Cooper interview, I mean, that should have been the last one.
Right, that should be the last one.
That should have, they saw the way that she acted and they should have said, okay, we're not comfortable putting this woman on television.
And I will say, the New York Times did apologize after this, but for what? Because they didn't put the story out earlier. They said we didn't take her accusation seriously, and we should have taken her accusation seriously, and we apologize for not bringing
Did they have evidence that we didn't see? Did they say something like that?
I mean, all they have is that she supposedly told two people at the time. But I mean, how when it's the President of the United States, how do we have any idea whether she actually told these people at the time? I mean, it's a highly questionable thing, and that even if she told people at the time, that doesn't mean it actually occurred,
or that it was him,
or it was him, or anything. Yeah. Again, this is why, and we made this plea a million times throughout the Me Too situation. The only way to handle these things is to go to the police immediately. Let the police and the authorities get there so they can get the evidence, that they can prosecute this person at the time, that these statute of limitations don't run out. if anything, if we could get anything positive out of the Me Too era outside of just like having, because these standards are better, right? Like I think we all can understand that, like, you know, people should not be doing the Harvey Weinstein things of the world. But like, you can't go through and come up with justice out of a situation where 30 years later someone says an accusation, the guy doesn't even remember who she is. It's impossible to do, and it needs to stop.
That's another thing that the media harped on. Trump came out almost immediately and said, "I've never met this woman before in my life," and then they post a picture
right.
of him not even speaking to her. He was speaking to someone else. She was in the picture. We've all met people that see what we do and know who we are. How many people does Donald Trump, has he met throughout his life?
Oh my gosh.
That he's like, sure, I guess, yeah, I met you. Does it prove anything? But the media harps on that kind of stuff. Oh, he's lying. No, he's not. He just doesn't remember.
Right. All right, hashtag cancel student loan debt when we come back.
I mean, we're like, you know, we've taken enough pictures with people. They could do that to any of us.
Yeah.
And we're
Any
not
of
even
us.
close to Donald Trump level celebrity. It's like, it's a years.
Before we get back into the conversation, want to thank our sponsor, Home Title Lock. So you may think that your home is safe from intruders if you have a security system. But what you don't know is that they can actually steal your house on the internet. I know, Stu, you guys had a former FBI agent come in and basically just steal your home's title.
It was a little rattling, like legitimately. Like I saw a document, I'm even like, what is this? And it's like my home being signed over to this other person, and I'm like, what is this? And then like 5 minutes later, I got an email. By the way, you're doing a call with Home Title Lock. They wanted to show you these documents. I'm like, can you send that one first? I'm panicking. But yeah, if you know, just basically forging a bill of sale, you transfer of a title to someone else, and then they can borrow against your equity. So, you know, you go through kind of the American dream thing. You pay your mortgage every month, you have your home, you make all your memories, and that equity is at risk and can be taken away, and then you get stuck with all the payments to pay back the home equity loans. It's a screwed up process. Luckily, Home Title Lock, I know, is protecting my home right now, and it's one of those things where you don't have to worry about it. You take that is a peace of mind. It takes it off the table for you.
There is no identity theft program. Nothing protects you except Home Title Lock. So you can go to HomeTitleLock.com right now. Get 30 days for free with sign up. That is 1 month for free. And really, if you look at how much it's going to cost you if you have this happen to you, it's like pennies a day. It's worth the investment. Go to HomeTitleLock.com. All right, Graham, canceling student loan debt. Yay!
Yeah.
Everything's free now.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. So Bernie Sanders has come out saying that the $1.6 trillion currently held in student loan debt, we're just going to get rid of it.
Well, it's just the 1.6 trillion. Though.
Yeah, just 1.6 trillion. You know, we're just going to get rid of it. But my favorite politician right now, the same day, AOC comes out. There she is. Look at him
There's our
standing
girl.
there. There's your. I'm telling you, that's a very scary image. Everybody should pay attention. Anyway, the point is, she comes out and she gives this video, basically telling her story of how she goes on this thing. She goes, "I'm going to relate to all of you right now. I have student loans." And to put it in perspective, which she tries to make it seem how ridiculous it is to pay off student loans, but what she actually does is prove she has no business in Congress. She says a person that's a bartender that has no experience can become the youngest person ever elected to Congress is easier than paying off student loans. You're actually proving the point that you really shouldn't be there.
And that maybe the Congress job is not so great.
Yeah,
Easy to get in.
Exactly.
I'm so proud.
So this just goes yet a further example of this new societal norm that we're starting, where I know that you took out those loans, knowing that you were borrowing money that you did not have, knowing what the percentages of interest and all this stuff was. And you didn't have to take out the entirety of the loan. See, that's what they leave out. I'm sure that 98% of that $1.6 trillion are surgeons or lawyers.
Right.
Or no, it's people that go for their liberal arts degree that take out the max amount of money they can take out because they want to drink and party and have a good time. So they live off student loans and just think, I'll get to it eventually. The whole thing doesn't make sense. I have student loans. I'm sure that you guys have as well. You can call FAFSA and all this stuff and say, hey, I only make $28,000 a year because it turns out I'm not that good of a home decorator and I can't find a job. They're like, okay, mister, you don't make any money. You have $0 due because your income to debt ratio is garbage and you can't pay the loans back. I mean, this is what the truth
they'll
is.
delay the payments, right?
Yeah, they'll delay the payments. They'll put you at $0 you have to pay until you can make more money. What's happening is we're creating a society where we go, you know what? We know that you made this decision, but instead of teaching you responsibility or perhaps buying you a Dave Ramsey book or, we're saying, don't worry about it. There's no consequences for that type of stuff. What we should be doing is having the conversation of, instead of just wiping the debt away, why don't we pay people that deserve it more money, like teachers that are actually good teachers, and then we fire the sucky ones. Let's pay our police more money. Let's pay our firefighters more money. You're right. Let's have conversations of why 4-year degree, bachelor degree nurses in California have to work for free for an entire year before they have enough experience to actually get a paying job. Let's have those conversations. And then you know what those people can do with that extra money? They can pay their student loans back.
What I think is so hilarious is paying a school loan is not hard.
No.
It's like paying a car payment.
Yeah.
For real. Like it took me forever because I did the same thing you were just talking about. My mom was on faculty, so I didn't have to pay all the 100% of tuition. So, but I got the full range of college loans because I wanted to get an apartment. I wanted to like hang out on the weekend. It was insane. So I just finished paying them off like 4 years ago, something like that. It sucked, but it was not hard to pay off. It was just like a regular bill.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not technically hard. I mean, it's just sending money, but it is hard to get the money, right, to send.
Well, probably if you're majoring in interpretive dance.
But you're teaching people that the decisions that they chose to make as an adult don't matter.
Right. It's not your fault.
There's consequences for borrowing money that you do not have.
Yeah.
Somebody quoted the Bible to me the other day because I, of course, tweeted about it. I said a story about my grandfather. I was raised by my grandparents, so my grandfather.
I love this story.
It's true. I was young. I was 10 years old. And I said, "Hey, Paul, can I borrow $2?" He goes, "Sure, I'll give it to you, but you got to pay me back, and you owe me $250." Some people will go, "Wow, your grandfather was a tyrant." Well, some people may view that as cruel, but I learned very young that hey, when you borrow money that you don't have, there's repercussions for it. And somebody said, "Well, the Bible says to give generously and don't charge interest," so he wasn't a Christian. Well, one, the Bible says your brother, first of all, kind of thing. But two, it also says that the wicked borrows money and doesn't pay it back. And so I think that we are not teaching what we should be teaching to our younger future generations is, school is actually, Mike Rowe says it best. There's probably 90% of the things you go to school for is worthless these days. Why don't you go learn a skill? Plumbing, electrician, anything to do with computers and networking and router configuration.
Gender studies?
Gender studies. Good Lord, you can be there all month.
Stu, last word.
Yeah. First of all, more than half the loans are less than $10,000 for people. That's the majority. Where he's going to wind up paying off, doctors and lawyers and people who have $200,000 graduate degrees are going to wind up paying off. He's paying the rich, like we're taking tax money and paying it off to the rich. And Sanders kept saying this over and over again, which was, we kept telling everyone you need these degrees. We kept telling everyone that you were going to get your money back, and now look, it looks like terrible advice. Well, I wasn't telling people that. Who was telling them that? It wasn't me. You know what? I mean, the college
military.
situation is a disaster fundamentally, and the fact that now you're just going to bail out all these people who took the loans, but really, in reality, what you're doing is bailing out all the colleges who charged all this money, and you're going to make sure that they get their little racket continuing to run. It's it's a shame and a disastrous policy that will cost way more than $1.6 trillion, by the way.
Yeah. All right, back in a minute.
Like probably double that easy.
These are like
Who's going to pay for it?
Well, this generation, yes.
We are going to pay for it.
All right, we got about 40 seconds here. Graham, tell everyone where they can find your podcast. I assume everywhere you can find podcasts?
Yes, just Dear America, it should pop up, hopefully.
Yeah, because you are being shadow banned on Instagram.
Right now, yes.
Unbelievable.
We're working that. We're trying to get in touch with our IG reps and things and figure out what's going on there. But anyway, the podcast, that's why the podcast and what we do here at Blaze TV is so important, as we don't fall victim to that.
Yes, so go find Dear America podcast. Like I said earlier, he's got one out with Dan Crenshaw that just dropped. You don't want to miss it. And we will see you guys in overtime at blazetv.com.